Former Cardinal Ryan Helsley has signed a new deal with a new team. How this affects the closers market and the Cardinals' need for their own shutdown guy in the ninth inning.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, a former national radio sports anchor, born and raised in St. Louis and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I welcome you to Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, all because of you guys. You're the ones that made us this way, which I appreciate. So thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to the everydayers for continuing to be here. And thank you for those of you who are new. Welcome in. Hope you enjoy the content. It's a show that serves Cardinal Nation and gives you all the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. On today's show, we'll get some more of your comments and reactions to things in Cardinal Confessions, specifically the possible extension of manager Marmol. We'll also look back at the deals the Cardinals made at the trade deadline this past year, because that's connected to where I want to start today's show, and that's the news that former Cardinals closer and still rating NL reliever of the year, might I add, Ryan Helsley, has found himself a new home, and it's not going to be back with the St. Louis Cardinals, though. Although some people thought maybe there was a chance. I thought maybe there was a chance. According to sources, the 31-year-old is signing a 2-year deal with the Baltimore Orioles. Instead, this 2-year deal is worth $28 million, but it features an opt-out after the first season. It hasn't been officially announced yet. They still got to go through the physicals and whatnot, but the O's wanted to get somebody to take over for their normal closer, Felix Bautista, who's a beast, but he's recovering from right shoulder surgery. He's not going to be available until late August or September. So they need somebody else to fill the void. If he does come back and the O's are in contention, then that's one hell of a 1-2 combination that the Orioles would have. The question is, can Ryan Helsley reestablish himself as a top-tier reliever after what went down last season? Now, Helsley was not as good as he was in 2024. He was effective with the Cardinals, but all you have to do is watch the tape. And if you were there with us the entire time, how frustrating some of those appearances were. When you look at the numbers, they're not that bad. You know, he got a 3 ERA, 21 saves in 36 outings before he got traded to the Mets on July 30th. But every single game, it just felt like you were sweating and you're like, oh my gosh, why is it always so difficult to get these final outs, which, you know, that's part of the game. The last few outs are usually the most difficult. That's why you pay closers big time money, but it just seemed like every single time there was traffic on the bases, and it drove us nuts. So when the trade went down, I think a lot of us were high-fiving. We were excited about it because we could move on from Ryan Helsley. He's now New York's problem. And the bright lights of the Big Apple, they weren't all that fun for Ryan Helsley. He struggled big time. 7.20 ERA in 22 games. He did not record a save because that wasn't his role after he got to the Mets. Hardly the return that they were hoping for after giving up 3 prospects to land him. And now he's off to Baltimore. They got nothing to show for it. Didn't even make the playoffs. Now, one of the things that kept getting brought up in regards to Helsley's struggles last year was tipping pitches. It was something that had been talked about while he was with the Cardinals. It continued when he went to New York, and when you primarily only throw 2 pitches, which was the fastball and slider, if you're tipping one of them, how huge is that for the opposition? They got a 50-50 shot at what's coming down the pipe. And then if you got a towel of some sort, makes things way easier for them. Mets coaches say they identified that issue, that when his arms were coming set, the arm position was changing based on whether he was throwing fastball or slider, which made things a whole lot easier to hit. Even when he was with the Cardinals, we pointed this out, that it was astonishing how well guys were hitting his fastball. You know, the velo was still there. That wasn't a problem. He's 99th percentile in velo, but it was getting hammered. They hit 422 against his fastball last year. Wow, with the Cardinals and the Mets, like 422 compared to a 140 batting average against his slider. He ended up wrapping the year up with 7 scoreless innings over the final 6 appearances. So the O's clearly hoping that things got figured out And then if Bautista's back at 100% and Helsley has a good year, he can opt out and hit the market again if he wants to. And the Orioles will be like, all right, bye. And they'll hang on to Bautista. But you got this move and the trade of Grayson Rodriguez to the Angels for Taylor Ward. And that's two solid pieces for the Orioles in 2026, who were very disappointing in 2025. Now, I was certainly under the impression that the Cardinals would be looking at the closer market this year, or should be. They should be still, in my opinion. Would have at very least reached out to Ryan Helsley about a return. I forget who had the report that he expected them to reach out to him. So not sure if that happened or not. According to Katie Wu, about 15 teams expressed interest in him. Maybe the Cardinals were one of them. But a big part of me is also glad that the temptation of bringing Ryan Helsley back, it's over. And no offense to Helsley, but I'm just ready to move on from all of these mainstays that have been here the last couple of years. I'm ready to turn the page on all of them. Helsley and Matz got moved. Those were two pieces. Sonny Gray is out. Michaelis is out. Arenado, we think, is on his way out. Maybe Wilson Contreras could be moved. We shall see. Brendan Donovan clearly has a market. Perhaps Nootbaar or Gorman. I'm ready to move forward. Okay. We gave that group 3 years to figure some crap out. It never happened. And I just think that bringing back Helsley would have been redundant and boring. Like, I'm ready for new blood. I'm ready for younger people. And I still think the Cardinals should look into the market for the closers. Plenty of names are still out there. Edwin Diaz, Robert Suarez, Devin Williams, Kenley Jansen, Pete Fairbanks, Luke Weaver, Kyle Finnegan. There's a bunch. And am I the only one who didn't realize that Suarez was as old as he was? Like, he's 34? What? I genuinely had no idea. Did not realize that Robert Suarez was 34 years old. That blew me away. But most of those names, including Suarez, are going to cost a decent penny. So could Heim and the scouts identify any of the other dozens of arms that are available as a possible closer? Possibly. That's their job. Go find the talent. Maybe they feel comfortable with the right-handed side with Swanson and O'Brien at the back end, and JoJo is your lefty guy. There's talk about JoJo getting moved, so maybe he's not around anymore. The argument to get a known commodity is also that if it works out, you can pull the old Phil Maton, right? Sign him to a 1-year deal, do whatever it is you do with them, make him a valuable piece again, and then you flip him at the deadline. It was beautifully done last year with Phil Maton. If there's one thing the Cardinals have done very well the last couple of seasons, it's bullpen pieces. You had Andrew Kittredge the year before that. Phil Maton now. Funny that the Cubs went out and took care of both of those guys after they were no longer Cardinals. But yeah, it's something they've proven they've been pretty good at. And so I trust them to do it again. So do I think they're going to go out and spend a butt ton of money on a guy like Edwin Diaz? Hell no. But in the Finnegan range, something like that, where it's 1 year, a certain amount of money, could move him at the deadline, and then you're not on the hook for anything else. Absolutely. Would any of those guys that we listed, Devin Williams, probably going to be more expensive. I know it'd be a cool story to have him come back to St. Louis where he's from, but probably going to be more expensive. So I wouldn't imagine that would work. But a veteran like Kenley Jansen, Pete Fairbanks, who was with Tampa Bay, solid. Luke Weaver had a bounce back year last year with the Yankees. He looked really good, especially in that first half last year. I was like, wow, this was the Cardinals' first round guy so many moons ago. I can see why. But Kyle Finnegan is kind of the guy that feels more like what the Cardinals would jump into if it was going to be a free agent. But we'll see. Speaking of which, talking about the Phil Maton signing, I was sitting there going through the relievers, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't really gone back and revisited the prospects that the Cardinals got at the deadline with the deals for Helsley and Maton and Matz. And I thought it'd be kind of fun. It's slow. Not a lot going on in the baseball world right now, so thought we could go back and check in on them. So we'll do that coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. The NBA is back, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. sometimes life, it just takes over and you can't make it to the beginning of whatever sporting event you're watching, whether it's first tip-off for an NBA game, first face-off with the NHL. Go Blues. Hey, a couple of wins there. Kickoff, obviously, it's football Sunday, so a lot of that going on. So FanDuel's live bets is something that's really, really cool. Let you jump right back into the action, and you don't have to have your bet in at the beginning of the game. Live action is what you're betting on, and it'll give you a chance to go with whoever's going to score next, fourth quarter comebacks. You could even combine your live bets and put it into a same game parlay, which will give you a chance to win the big bucks, a bigger payout. Live bets is where it's at. It's a whole lot of fun if you're watching the game with your crew, and it's a very cool way to be very interactive about games that maybe you don't have a lot of skin in. Maybe they aren't your favorite teams, but it makes them more interesting and more fun. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you enjoy daily Cardinals content, you can follow the podcast on X at @LM_Cardinals. We're also on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. At the deadline this past year, John Mozeliak made his final trades as president of baseball operations when he traded Ryan Helsley, Phil Maton, and Steven Matz for prospects. We do not know who had say in what prospects they had to get. I don't know how much Chaim Bloom was pulling the strings from behind the scenes. We don't know. But since two of those three have already found new homes, as far as the guys the Cardinals got rid of, Maton's now a Cub. Ryan Helsley's gone to the Orioles. I think it's a good time to go back and see what those deals got for the Cardinals and how they did after coming to the organization. So we'll start with the big one, which was the Helsley deal to the Mets for minor league prospects, infielder Jesus Baez, right-handed pitcher Nate Dome, and right-handed reliever Frank Ellisalt. Now, Baez was the big piece, right? He was the highest rated prospect that came back to St. Louis and is currently the Cardinals' 8th ranked prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. People like this kid, right behind newly acquired left-hander Brandon Clark, mind you, who came over in that Sonny Gray trade. So before the trade, Baez, who's only 20 years old, infielder, was hitting .244 with 10 home runs and 42 RBIs in just under 300 plate appearances over 70 games at High A Brooklyn for the Mets. After the deal, he remained in High A, played 27 games for High A Peoria, and hit .243 with 4 home runs and 15 ribbies in 111 at-bats. Now, to go from Brooklyn, New York, to Peoria, Illinois, a place that I lived in for a few years and worked in, that's going to be a big culture shock. And all three of these guys that came back in the deal for Helsley were all in Brooklyn at the time and all had to move to Peoria, Illinois, which, no offense to Peoria, Illinois, I had a great time when I lived there, but quite a difference between Brooklyn, New York, and Peoria, Illinois. All right. So to do that, culture shock. So I don't blame any of the numbers for those guys sliding a little bit after the trade. Baez's OBP, his slug, and his OPS, they all took a hit when he came to Peoria, but people are very high on this kid. Certainly looking forward to his progression in year 2 within the Cardinals organizations. Nate Dome, currently ranked number 18 in the Cardinals system. Again, also at Brooklyn when the trade happened. He was 1-2 with a 2.62 ERA in 11 appearances. 10 of those were starts. After he got to Peoria, went 0-2, 5.11 ERA in 5 starts. Walks were a problem. Issued 9 and 12 in the 3rd inning. Struck out 13. Needs some development. No doubt. Then Frank Ellisalt, who's not in the Cardinals top 30, but was also at Brooklyn before the deal, although he spent most of his year at St. Lucie, which was the rookie league, right? I believe so. That was just A-ball. Maybe that's just A-ball. But anyway, he was down there below High A for most of the year. 3-4, 3.02 ERA in 18 appearances. 7 of those were starts. Goes to Brooklyn, goes 1-1, 2 starts, 3.18 ERA. And just like the other two, the numbers weren't great when he got to Peoria. He goes 0-2 in 4 appearances. 3 of those were starts, 5.59 ERA, 8 walks, and 9 2/3 innings. Hopefully the Cardinals and, all these people that they're hiring within the system can help these guys. Moving on to the Phil Maton deal, got dealt to the Texas Rangers. Again, has now signed with the Cubs. Why, Phil? Why? Why do you do it? In return, the Cardinals got minor league pitchers Mason Molina and Skylar Hales. Maton was solid with Texas. Went 3-2, 3.52 ERA. Picked up 3 saves as well. Turned that into a 2-year deal with Chicago. Molina is currently ranked number 27 for the Cardinals, and the 22-year-old was playing at High A. This is a great name, by the way. Hub City Spartanburgers. Wow. Anyway, South Atlantic League is where that team resides. He was 1-2 with a 2.63 ERA in 7 games. 6 of those were starts, but gets to Peoria. Not bad. 2-1, 2.08 ERA in 5 starts, 27 Ks in 21 2/3 innings. He did have some walks, 15 walks in those 21 2/3 innings as well. But hey, let's focus on the positives here, right? So the Ks were there. Things went well for Mason Molina. So you like to see that. And then there's Skylar Hales, who just turned 24 in October. He was actually in Memphis. Most of these guys we're talking about were, A-ball guys. Hales was not. He just turned 24. He's at Memphis after this trade. Spent time at AA and AAA when he was with Texas. Ended up going and picking up 5 wins when he got to Memphis. Goes 5-0 in 16 appearances, no starts. The ERA, a little high, 5.40. But, the 5 wins sounds like a solid middle relief guy. 24 years old already. We'll see what he can do this year. We'll, more than likely start at AAA unless something happens and he blows everybody away at spring training, which I'm sure we'll get a look at him then, and we'll see what happens. The final deal was Steven Matz to Boston for infielder Blaze Jordan. Matz went on to make 21 appearances for Boston, was very, very good. Very good at B-Town. Did all relief, no starts, 2.08 ERA. The FIP tells you a different story at 4.84, which means his normal ERA, maybe he got a little lucky on some stuff, but serviceable, obviously, Steven Matz, and I'm sure somebody will jump on him, whether it's to be a back of the rotation starter or another long relief guy in the bullpen. Somebody will pick up Steven Matz. It'll happen. Meanwhile, just not the Cardinals. All right, just not the Cardinals. We don't have to do that again. Meanwhile, Blaze Jordan is now the number 19 prospect for the Cardinals. He was mashing at AA while in Boston's organization. Got promoted to AAA in June, where he was hitting .298 with 6 dingers and 25 ribbies before the trade happened. Comes to Memphis. Batting average, not so good. 198. He did pop 7 home runs, had 37 RBIs and 186 plate appearances. For the year at the just AAA level, the soon-to-be 23-year-old hit .248, 13 home runs, and 62 RBIs. So respectable numbers. For the season, though, if you combine what he was doing at AA before he got promoted to AAA, you combine all the stats there. 270, 19 home runs, 99 RBIs in 129 games, and just under 500 at-bats at 493. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Most guys struggle when they move up a level, so to see that he was doing actually pretty good with the AAA affiliate for Boston, and then, struggled batting average-wise when he got to Memphis. But again, you're moving. These are kids, man. They're getting traded in the middle of a season and having to move, and it's not easy. Like, can you imagine being 21, 22, and your job just moves you? It's culture shock. It cannot be easy. And some of these guys weren't even 20, like Baez, 20 years old. So with all 3 trades and the Sonny Gray deal, the Cardinals have added 5 members to their top 30 prospects list. 2 of them are in your top 10. You get Richard Fitz as well, who should be in the rotation day 1 of spring training. I feel like that's not so bad for 3 expiring contracts and a 36-year-old starter who, yes, cost you $20 million, but also saved you from having to pay any more of the $40 million. So it saved you $20 million that you were going to have to pay him anyways before the deal, because his salary was $35 million plus that $5 million buyout. I know they've restructured things since he got traded to Boston, and good for them, but the Cardinals were able to save $20 million by making that deal, and they got a starter, and they picked up a top 10 prospect for their organization. So far, so good. Hard to complain about that stuff in my eyes. Hopefully, any future deals with names like Nolan Arenado, Brendan Donovan, hopefully they'll be as fruitful. We're going to wrap things up with Cardinal Confessions. Reactions to the possible extension of manager Oli Marmol. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Things got hot. We'll get into it next on Locked On Cardinals. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On MLB, hosted by Sully. Brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. So if you didn't hear, there was a report that the Cardinals had discussed an extension with manager Ali Marmol. Came from Derek Gould at STLtoday.com. Talked about it in the last episode and explained my thoughts on it and why it may not be the worst thing considering where the Cardinals are in this rebuild. And I know there's not a lot of people out there that love Ali Marmol. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are a lot of people out there that don't like Ali as the manager for the Cardinals. I don't know if it's a personality thing. I didn't really see much of that, but that are just ready to move on to a different voice. And I gave you reasons why I think maybe it's not such a bad thing to have Ali around still. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on it. Explain to me why it is or isn't a good idea. Here were some of the responses, and we're going to start with the negative ones, okay? Dozens and dozens and dozens of responses on this one. These are just some of them. Most of them are pretty quick. Absolutely terrible idea. That's it. That's all the person wrote. JD, you're losing credit for being an Ali fan. Thought you were smart. No. Michael Scott style from The Office. Rebuilding begins with the foundation, which is management. Sending Mo away was first. Replacing Ali should be next. What is this love affair with Ali? Terrible idea. His teams are not fundamentally sound. He cannot put batting orders together. Really odd. Ali is not MLB coach material. His record reflects that. Keeping him is stupid. Does have a winning record, by the way. Ali lost me with how Tyler O'Neill was treated. How is he more qualified than Yadi or Albert? No. Dear God, no. This guy's only winning season was a team put together by another manager. And then you look at the poor fundamentals his teams have. I mean, they run the bases like a little league team, and their lack of just baseball knowledge by his players, for whatever reason, the media in St. Louis loves this guy, and I just don't get it. Keeping olive oil will only crush attendance. Please don't do it. I don't know if attendance can get much worse than it was last year, to be honest with you. But last time I checked, I don't go to the games to watch the manager manage. You know, I go to watch players, and that's just me, though. Here's another one. I won't spend any money on this organization until Marmol is gone. It just continues like this. A lot of these responses, similar verbiage, which was expected, absolutely expected when talking about Ali, because I know he's not the most popular guy. I feel that John Mozeliak was under more heat than Ali for the reasons I gave you in the last episode. But we did get plenty of responses too, which was great, because for those of you who don't like Ali and don't want him around, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not. We're just having a discussion about it, because I feel one way. You might feel the other. The goal is we want the Cardinals to freaking win again. And who's going to lead that? And some people don't want Ali behind the wheel anymore. And that's fine. I can understand the reasoning why, but I gave you some reasons why I feel like maybe he should stick around. Ali hasn't had a ton of talent to work with, which is one of my main reasons why when I see him with better rosters, I see 2 winning seasons. When he's had subpar rosters, we have losing seasons. And even the last 2 years, you know, despite not having the most talent and having aging veterans and selling at the deadline, the last 2 seasons, this team has been competitive. I know we had a losing season here in 2025, but they hung around there for a bit. But he's got those 2 winning seasons in 22 and 24, but he's also got the fugly 23 season, which was awful, where we had so much, there was just a disaster all around. And then last year, where they were hanging around for a while, but became sellers for the second time in 4 years. The fundamentals thing, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Certainly something that needs to be worked on. Base running, mental mistakes. But it's a pretty young team that he's been working with. Like, it wasn't Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Brendan Donovan making these mistakes. It was usually younger guys that were doing those things. So pretty young team. You would hope that those things would improve as time moves on, as these kids mature. They continue to play at the major league level, which is an entirely different speed than anything they've ever been a part of. I remember one of my big issues at the end of the Mike Matheny era was all the dumb mistakes, the stupid mental errors, the just dumb things that they would do, drove all of us nuts, including the managers. Trust me. And then they brought in Mike Shelton for whatever reason. Things cleaned up a bit. Same team, same coaches, but for whatever reason, things got better. I hope things will get better. And remember, Shelty had a more mature team at that point than what Ollie's been working with. But I just don't put it all on Ollie. I don't. I think that's the coaching staff in general that's got to be better, which is why they've expanded and are hoping to eliminate this stuff with more advisors and more coaching in the minor league, something they did not have for a long time. They've upgraded all of this so that when these guys are big league ready, that these problems aren't as frequent at the major league level. That's the idea. Can they follow through and get it all done? I don't know. We're going to find out together. I did like this response, though. Okay, so this is the first time I have commented. I'm 59 years old. Saw Lou Brock steal third at Busch Stadium in 1979 in person. Love that. By the way, Lou Brock was my mom's, or it still is, favorite player. Loves him. We have autographed, bases by Lou Brock and posters of him. She loved him. I had a chance to play against his kid back in the day. He did get a hit off of me, but I also struck him out a couple times. But we had nothing but love for Lou Brock. So that's cool. 1979, you were in person for that. Longtime fan, third generation. I have no problem with Ollie Marmol. In fact, this season will just add to his experience. I loved watching Albert and Yachty. And yes, they have a little managerial experience, but does that really mean they would be anything more than a ticket sell? The easy thing, and let me say this, the easy thing for Heim to have done was come in and fire Ollie and let Yachty take over. Could have made that happen and be done with it. And Cardinal fans would have been like, yes, we got our dude. Everybody been excited. Would have made everybody happy. You'd have made headlines, both locally and nationally. So if the decision is so easy, why haven't they done it? It can't just be the money for Ollie's final season that they don't want to pay, right? It can't just be that. Can it? I find that hard to believe. These guys just paid $20 million for Sonny Gray to go away. You don't think they'll eat the final year of an Ollie Marmol contract? Come on now. There's got to be more to it. And as of this show, no other teams in baseball have hired him or Albert either. Why? Is the rest of the league all run by incompetent idiots as well? Or is there something more to all of it? That for whatever reason, Yachty and Albert don't have managerial jobs yet. Doesn't mean they won't. But it makes you wonder if there's such a slam dunk, easy decision to have these guys running baseball teams. Why aren't they? How come MLB teams haven't jumped on board and taken them from the Cardinals? Why? Now, if either of them gets hired, which at some point they will get a job eventually, and they go off and succeed, then we in the Cardinals end up floundering with Ollie. Then we can look back and rip Heim and company, and you guys can make fun of me and all the rest of us who were like, it's not a bad idea for screwing this whole thing up. You can do that. Personally, what my plan would be, I'd still let Ollie finish out his contract this year. This would be the year, and then see how things are. Earn your extension by what happens here in 2026. How we're able to blend the rebuild and still trying to teach and win at the major league level. Let's see how he does. You'll get that, plus what you've seen so far in the past that you can go off of, and then you can make a decision. And it's not like other teams are banging down the door to hire Ollie away. When Craig Counsell left Milwaukee and went to Chicago, people really wanted to get their hands on Craig Counsell. Who's lining up to take Ollie away from the Cardinals? Nobody that I know of. So earn it this last year. There's no need to jump ahead. If he does a great job, then do what must be done. You signed the guy. He earned it. But if things go sideways and we have problems, then you're not stuck. You can move on, find a better fit. Maybe it is Yachty. Maybe it's Albert. Maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. But I don't see why you need to do the extension just yet. But I understand why they like him. I understand why people don't like him. So tis what it is. We're all kind of split on this thing. Bottom line is, like I said, we just want the Cardinals to win. So whoever's going to be in charge, I hope they get it right. And I hope that all of this momentum that feels pretty positive, I hope it continues. I hope it continues throughout the offseason. Big thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals in the month of December. That's a wrap on November.